knew that the healer had arrived in their village because he had killed some of his Skinwalker scouts. Old Laurio also learned that this healer had 3 disciples with deep knowledge. To confirm his feelings, he decided to visit Maestro Pedrito's house. When he arrived, he saw 3 men burning incense all around. Seeing what they were doing, he immediately took another path to avoid Maestro Pedrito's house. That night, he visited the 3 men's house again. He informed them of everything he had seen to ensure no harm came to their kind. Friends, spread the word to all 15 Yee Naaldlooshii. I want them to avoid this village. As long as the healer friend of Maestro Pedrito is here, also tell their leaders that we will have a second meeting on the last Friday of this month. Old Laurio said. All right, Old Laurio. We will deliver your message, replied one of the men. As he spoke, the 3 quickly left to spread the message they had received. Once his messengers disappeared from old Laurio's sight, he hurried back to his home. He could hardly sleep, as the presence of the healer friend of Maestro Pedrito kept haunting his mind. Laurio, why are you hesitating? Don't you have the power to fight that being? Asked the giant tree monster. Courage is not the measure of a fight. Just because I have deep knowledge doesn't mean I can do everything. Didn't you feel the presence of a divine force enveloping this village? Our situation is different now, my lord, because we are facing a divine healer. I might die if I am not careful, old Laurio replied. He added that since he entered the field of healing, that was the only healer he had looked up to. Even though he only heard rumors about that person, he couldn't help but marvel at his abilities. Don't worry, Laurio. You can do it. Just trust in my power, replied the giant tree monster, slowly fading from his mind. In the morning, his wife asked old Laurio to buy meat at the market. Although he was avoiding certain people in their village, he couldn't refuse her request. As he walked, he kept looking around to stay alert. A few minutes later, he reached the market. Before he could enter, his walk was interrupted when he saw the healer's 3 disciples standing outside the market, seemingly waiting for someone. To avoid suspicion, old Laurio walked normally like an ordinary person. As he passed them, they looked at him very seriously. Excuse me, sir, where are you from? One of the healer's disciples asked. Hearing this, old Laurio tried to remain calm. He did everything he could to hide his presence. Oh, I'm just from around here, gentlemen. Why? What do you need? Old Laurio replied calmly. Oh, nothing. All right, sorry to bother you, said one of the disciples. After speaking, old Laurio walked into the market. As he continued walking, he noticed that they kept their eyes on him. Old Laurio ignored this, hoping to leave the area without any trouble. A few minutes later, his walk was interrupted again when he saw the master of those healers, busy buying fish. As he continued staring, old Laurio stepped back when he felt the master slowly looking at him. When the healer saw him, he furrowed his brow and slowly approached him. Old Laurio had no choice but to stay where he was, trying to focus his mind on other things. Ahem. Good morning, sir. Do you need anything? Asked the healer. No, Master Florante. I'm just buying food for my family, replied old Laurio, trembling. Hearing this, the healer was surprised because he didn't expect old Laurio to know his name. As their conversation continued, old Laurio felt the healer's presence slowly entering his body. However, no matter where the healer searched, he couldn't find the true presence of old Laurio. Old Laurio was immensely grateful that his knowledge from the right side hadn't abandoned him. Had luck not been on his side, he was sure he wouldn't have left the market alive. A few minutes later, the healer said, I'm leaving, Laurio. I'm glad to have met you. Until we meet again. Take care, Master Florante. "Thank you for the time you spent talking with me," replied old Laurio. After that, the healer left with his 3 disciples. As the 4 of them moved away, old Laurio could hear their conversation. He knew they were talking about him, which made him worry even more. A few minutes later, he decided to buy everything he needed to go home. That night, old Laurio called his 15 Yee Naaldlooshii. He didn't wait until the end of the month, feeling that those healers already knew his true identity. As he left his home, he encountered some farmers on the road. "Master Laurio, wherever you're going, don't proceed. It's too dangerous. Don't risk the surroundings," said one of the farmers he met. Old Laurio ignored this, knowing he was aware of what he was doing. But unknown to him, the farmers he met were followers of Master Florante. They warned him to help him avoid the looming danger brought by the visiting healers. As he passed by Master Pedrito's house, he encountered the 3 disciples of Master Florante waiting on the road. They carried knives and seemed displeased to see him. He tried talking to them several times, but they gave no response. Realizing he had no choice, old Laurio decided to take a different path. "Don't waste your strength, Master Laurio. While we're talking here, I assure you, our comrades are already wiping out your group's members. We know you are one of them, so don't hide anymore. Show your true form, fresh blood of the Ikrin," said one of Master Florante's disciples angrily. As he spoke, they quickly charged at old Laurio. He had no choice but to run to escape them. He needed to do this because he wasn't familiar with their abilities yet. It might also be a trap by Master Florante to kill all the members of his group. As he continued running, he braved the dense paths with many sharp branches. This was his only option to successfully lose Master Florante's disciples. But soon after, he was shocked to feel 3 centaurs following behind him. He sensed the presence of the 3 healers in them, which greatly surprised old Laurio. Looking behind him, he saw 3 beings that almost looked like centaurs. "Face us, Laurio. We are your rivals tonight," shouted one of Master Florante's disciples, who had taken the form of a centaur. After speaking, he drew a sharp piece of wood and threw it without hesitation towards old Laurio's path. They kept doing this repeatedly until one of them finally hit him. Even though old Laurio felt weakened, he continued running. When he reached a place with many banana trees, he ran even faster, knowing he was close to his friend's hut. Upon arriving, old Laurio was shocked to see his 3 friends bound by roots that tightened as they struggled. Soon after, he sensed the arrival of the 3 disciples in centaur form, who were staring at him while holding their weapons. Old Laurio described these creatures as wearing white clothes that almost touched the ground. Their bodies were hairy, with large muscles, and they looked horse-like due to the fur covering their bodies. "Laurio, it's good that you arrived on time. I expected to see you here. You know, before I reached your village, I already knew you were the one who defeated Pedrito. I held back in the market, but now, I assure you, I will not," Master Florante said. As he spoke, he quickly struck the 3 skinwalkers he had captured. They nearly lost consciousness due to the powerful blows, as strong as a buffalo's. Old Laurio noticed Master Florante holding several powerful amulets and talismans around his waist, some of which were newly forged. As old Laurio continued to observe, he thought of ways to avoid Master Florante's group, knowing the battle would be tough if they chose to attack him. "I admit I am responsible for Master Pedrito's death, but I had no choice. We were peaceful here until he demanded a duel. As the leader of our group, I had to accept his challenge," old Laurio explained. "I don't care what happened between you and Pedrito. I'm here, old Laurio, to end your life. I know you have the blood of the Ikrin, so you don't need to continue in this world. The evil blood running through you must be ended as soon as possible," replied Master Florante. As he spoke, he quickly cast a spell that enveloped old Laurio's entire body. At that moment, old Laurio wanted to scream and move, but his body wouldn't respond. Seeing this, the three centaurs slowly approached him, brandishing their weapons and instilling great fear in his soul. As he awaited his death, old Laurio thought of ways to escape the spell. Thoughts of his wife and child, who would search for him if he died that night, kept crossing his mind. "Laurio, don't worry. I'll take care of it. We cannot allow this to happen because there are still many missions you need to complete. If you want to succeed, work with me," said the giant tree monster. Hearing this, old Laurio agreed to his lord's request. In an instant, Master Florianti saw old Laurio slowly change his form. Instead of being alarmed, they seemed pleased with what old Laurio was doing. Suddenly, old Laurio's back bent, indicating he was about to transform. As old Laurio groaned, the centaurs stood still, watching him. Master Florianti then threw the three bodies he was holding as if they were trash. A few minutes later, old Laurio's true form as an Ikran emerged, causing the healers to rejoice because it was rare to witness such a creature. "Your form is beautiful, Laurio. Truly, you are a Yee Naaldlooshii of the Ikran. Many healers before me have longed to witness such an event. I am very fortunate, Laurio. Very fortunate," Master Florianti exclaimed. As he spoke, the spellbinding old Laurio vanished. He then shouted loudly to call for help from his kind, the only thing he could do to have a chance against Master Florent's group. After doing so, he ran quickly to buy time for the 15 Yee Naaldlooshii he had summoned to arrive. But before he could get far from Master Florent's location, he suddenly felt the healer rapidly approaching. The healer appeared before him and immediately landed a powerful punch on his face, sending him flying far away. If he hadn't been caught by a tree, he would have ended up in the bushes. After the events, old Laurio could barely move from where he had landed. The healer approached him slowly, saying, "Laurio, no matter where you look or seek help, no one can help you. I wouldn't be called a demon slayer if I were as weak as you. Even my disciples alone can handle you in physical or spiritual combat. See this left arm of mine? It holds the amulet of the bell inherited from my master. If I punch you with it, I guarantee you'll end up in hell." Upon hearing this, old Laurio forced himself to stand up to face the healer. He decided to fight because he knew he had no other choice. Even if he tried to escape, he knew he wouldn't succeed. Besides the healers present, old Laurio could also sense several enchanted allies with them. Even if he could free himself from the roots binding him, escaping would still be impossible. When he finally stood up, he glared angrily at Master Florianti, who was also staring at him while barely moving. He saw the healer holding a knife, continuously whispering destructive prayers. "Don't be complacent, Florianti. Do you have any idea what I can do?" old Laurio said. As he spoke, he quickly charged at the old man while chanting protective spells over his body to freely cast dark magic without it rebounding. As he continued his charge, he cast curses into the air. When he got close to Master Florianti, he grabbed him with all his might. Just as he was about to grab his neck, he was surprised to feel his hands slow down. Seeing this, the healer grabbed old Laurio's hands and threw him to the ground without hesitation. Blood gushed from his mouth due to the force of the healer's blow. When he was about to lose consciousness, he bit his hand to divert his attention to the wound he had created. He then crawled away from the healer, but Master Florianti quickly approached him and threw him to the ground again. When he hit the ground again, old Laurio almost reverted to his true form. He had no choice but to let the healer do what he wanted. Tears fell as he remembered his family, thinking this was the end of his life. "Laurio, tell the demon guiding you that I await his revenge on me," said Master Florianti, holding his head. After speaking, the healer suddenly paused as they felt running footsteps around them. Old Laurio knew his companions had arrived and felt a renewed sense of hope. Finding a chance to escape the healer's grasp, he immediately ran towards the tall grass. Just as the centaur was about to follow, old Laurio heard Master Florent's command. Before reaching the edge of the grass, he saw the eyes of 15 Yee Naaldlooshii.